Is that the Special Investigating Unit is briefing SCOPA on the investigation conducted into the Department of Defence and Military Veterans around the situation in the eastern parts of the DRC. In fact, that briefing is currently underway. I wonder if we can just dip in for you just for a moment to get you a sense of how that's going.
The services of an IT expert to look into then the work that was done. So the quantum of the claim will then depend on the expert report commissioned by Denel in this regard. So at the time of our involvement, Chairperson, there were a number of people who were already left the employ of Denel, and some of these issues, they were dealt with by the Group CEO and also then in consultation with the former board chairperson of Denel at the time. The outcomes we are looking at then recovering, if this process goes our own way, the recovery of that 4.6 million that was paid to the service provider. And also I'm pleased to report that their money has been kept. The service provider reported to us that he has not used a cent out of the money that was paid by Denel. So there are no criminal referrals, Chairperson. We were constrained in this instance by the PFMA limitations, because in terms of the PFMA, only the accounting authority will be found in the wrong in terms of this, and yet the accounting authority in this instance was not even aware of this transaction. Then the disciplinary referral we could not, because we could not refer at the time because the implicated officials all left the employ of Denel. The next one was the development of the white paper. The allegations were that Denel did not follow the formal procurement processes in appointing an entity to develop a white paper. At the time, the documents were missing. It was only through our interaction with the people who were involved, who had left Denel, that we learned that some of the documents were actually handed to them through then the discovery process of the CCMA processes, and then we through those documents we realized that actually Denel did follow a process when appointing an entity for the development of white paper. Just to give a background, Denel experienced severe cash flow problems and was very struggling to raise funds to pay their salaries. So then they approached AMSCO to relax some of the non-compliance guarantees, and AMSCO approved a limited period part relief on the issued guarantees, which freed up their credit banking facilities to allow Denel to settle some December salaries. This is now 2015, Chairperson. There was an urgent need for 2016, Chair. There was an urgent need for the development of white paper for a funding model for Denel. Denel sought an approval for a deviation from the supply chain executive for the same white paper. This approval was granted on the 13th of September 2017.
Sorry, may I ask, so the supply chain chief executive were at AMSCO?
No, at Denel. Within the process, the SCM processes within Denel detected that they had to seek an approval from the supply chain executive within Denel now for this new deviation.
So the official were responsible for this white paper asked the supply chief executive for
deviation certificate.
Okay, later I'll just fix that, because when you say Denel, it's the whole institution, so you can't then ask an official.
Internal, all right. Oh, thank you, I'll fix that.
AMSCO is the procurement arm of the
defense, yes. Oh, sorry, Chair. Sorry, apologies for that. The approval was then granted on 13 September 2017, And then from this process, 3 quotations were then sourced, and then the service provider was appointed based on the price. Then we found no irregularities in terms of this contract and the process that led to the appointment of the company. The next one would be the legal services. In particular, Chairperson, it's not all legal services. The complaint related to the appointment of a certain legal service provider, a firm of attorneys that was appointed to render legal services to Denel without following any proper procurement processes. The firm was not even listed on the Denel's database of legal services, and also was also not part of the existing panel. So this service provider was just handpicked from somewhere to then become one of the service providers at the time. The value of the contracts awarded to, or work that was awarded to this legal firm was about 10 million rand. The investigation is also finalized here, Chairperson. Our findings are that then there was an irregular procurement process. We could confirm that this entity was not part of the existing legal panel, and no contractual agreement was signed between Denel and this entity. Then the former GCEO and the chairperson, they managed and directed the project, and Denel's legal department was not even involved in the process. There is no record or instruction files kept by the firm. In some of the invoices submitted by the firm, there were no supporting documents and no statement of accounts attached. The investigation further established that in one invoice, the one invoice that was for legal services was not involving Denel, but it was a case between Law Society and the former chairperson of Denel, but Denel paid for this invoice. The investigation also identified misrepresentation and of fraud in that a fraudulent invoice to the value of 65,000 rand was issued to Denel by the firm, and it was paid. And it was alleged that the claim was on behalf of a counsel team without his knowledge. We have interviewed the advocate, and he has confirmed that he has never claimed this amount. Then there was also...
All right, so there you have it, the Defence Ministry, in fact, Defence and Military Veterans, briefing Parliament watchdog SCOPA about a whole range of issues. We're, of course, got a keen interest to hear what they have to say about the situation in the Eastern DRC. Currently, we're listening to a briefing around state arms manufacturer Denel, which is another SOE, which, let's face it, has seen better days. We're hearing at the moment details around particular procurement processes and whether or not that money has been used correctly. We'll keep an ear on that briefing taking place in SCOPA, and as soon as they mention anything about the DRC, hopefully get a chance to pop you back into that particular room.